All right, after weeks of deliberation, a decision has finally been made. Terastallize is getting absolutely no action taken to it. Was that the right decision? I'm not sure. But first, before we jump into that, let's get into what Terastallize even is. So to start off with, Terastallize is a phenomenon that was introduced in Generation 9, right? So the effects are pretty simple. When Terastallized Pokemon receive stab on moves matching their Tera types, in addition to moves matching the type they had immediately before Terastallizing. So basically, if you had a fire dark Pokemon like Chi-Yu and you Terastallize into grass, you keep the fire dark typings and gain the grass type as an offensive typing. How does that actually work? How effective is that in the meta game? Oh, baby, baby, I did it again. So that's right, Smogon came out with another gimmick, but did they really do it again? I don't know. Do you guys remember this? Dynamax. This is a pretty big deal. This wasn't like a small thing. Like Dynamax was highly, not even polarizing. The right way to put it is everybody had a strong opinion on how broken it is. Like, just to show you the difference in how Smogon was talking about this gimmick compared to the last one, let me just go over a quick little sentence with you. So this is the suspect test they did for Dynamax. As you can see here in the second paragraph, I'm just gonna read you these couple of lines. Was it the second one? I'm pretty sure. In addition to the buffs given, any Pokemon can Dynamax, and it does not require an item to utilize. Dynamaxing Pokemon have absurd buffs, and the player has an absolute luxury to use them whenever they so please. This allows for an abundance of randomness and a lack of skillful gameplay. While it isn't a straight up guessing game, the sheer randomness and luxury that Dynamaxing presents to a player is quite absurd. So as you can see, they weren't even trying to hide there's no veil of being unbiased or like, oh, this could go either way. They were clearly on one side of the fence, Dynamax being completely luck-based and skillless, as opposed to the suspect test they did for Terastallizing. We could just read a couple lines here. Hello everyone, the OU tier suspect has decided, the OU tier council has decided to test Terastallization. Hello Finch. With the release of Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon bestowed upon us the novel mechanic of Terastallization. This core feature has defined Pokemon's 9th generation throughout its infancy, changing the type of game we play. Terastallization has simultaneously energized certain contingents of the player base while drawing the ire of many others, making it one of the most polarizing tiering topics in Smogon's long history. Do you see the difference? This is an unbiased look at it. We are saying that Finch is saying that there are people on one side, people on the other side. This is an actual polarizing decision. People feel some type of way about it on both sides. Unlike Dynamax, where people only felt one way about it for the most part. People were thinking it was banned. Me personally, I would have loved to see the metagame progress with it, but that's just me. Going on to talk about what Tera is, like its offensive uses to start off with. Terastallization can be used to bolster the offensive profile in many ways. The brute force that comes with stab, that gives some of the most opponent attackers in the metagame a boost. Right, so basically, it's like I said earlier, if you have stab with your Tera, it gives it a greater boost, and then it also gives you an opportunity to make a coverage move that you normally wouldn't have also stab. So I feel like it's a decent offensive choice. It's nothing out of the wood, nothing too crazy. There are a couple of viable offensive options that I like running, as well as Smogon standard set. So I like to use this Chanpao heavy duty boots swords dance set. Swords dances can't beat it. And the Chanpao, also the Chi Yu, these ruin abilities, we'll talk about that a little bit later. They're extremely broken. But yeah, I like this Chanpao, and of course the Tera type is important. When you use a Tera Dark, it boosts the crunch up to twice the power, so that's a 160 base power crunch coming off a ridiculous attack stat. People also like to use Life Orb. This is the Smogon standard set. So if you, not the Smogon standard, this is the usage, this is the showdown usage set. So this is the set you're going to see more than likely on the ladder. As well as for Chi Yu, this is the CTC special. This is the set that I will use most of the time. 3 moves, Tera Fire Chi Yu. Delicioso. It's catching all types of kills with the overheat. It's not even, I mean, come on. And then this is the standard set Choice Scarf. So if you're on the ladder and you're playing against a Chi Yu, this is what you will more than likely see. I keep saying standard, but what I mean to say is usage. This is the Showdown usage set. So this is the highest use set on Showdown. People will use Tera Dark, but I also see a lot of Tera Psychic with these Psychic sets. So something to keep in mind. And then defensive purposes. This is where I feel like it actually shines. Defensive oriented applications of Terastallization that Pokemon can use as preventative measures or to increase counterplay towards some of the aforementioned dangers the metagame presents. So this is where I feel like Tera really shines, is with the, what happened to it took away my dang sets. Hold on a second. Well, I can just make it real quickly. Let's see. So I had Garganachi. So Garganachi is one of my favorites offensive sets. I mean defensive uses for Tera. It really makes it shine like how good Tera is. So what I will normally use, I'll just put the set that I normally use, is I'll use Assault here. The set I use is the Showdown usage set anyway. So I use Salkir, Body Press, Iron Defense, and Recover, of course. And then I'll use Max, and then I will Tera. So there's 2 types of Teras that are very common now. Actually, the most common one is Tera Fairy at the moment. Just because Tera Fairy allows you to get rid of the weaknesses that Rock has for the most part. All the weaknesses, Tera Fairy and Rock don't share any. It does like leave you still susceptible to Steel type moves. So that's kind of a problem. So Goldango's not as easy to beat with this set. But for the physical part of it, it's Fairy is an optimal choice. I like to use Water though, just because I feel like Water is more adept to dealing with the special threats that come out, being like a Dragapult. Even though some of them now honestly are running a lot of Thunderbolt, I still like to use Water. Another good defensive Tera type is Skeledirge, which also will use Tera Fairy for a lot of the same reasons that Garganachi uses Tera Fairy. Gets the Fire and Fairy don't share a lot of the same weaknesses. As a matter of fact, some of the weaknesses that Fire has, Fairy can cover up pretty nicely. The same with Ghost. So Skeledirge is is a pretty good use for Tera Fairy, and it's another way to show that Tera is useful without it being too broken. Tera Fairy doesn't, the defensive uses of Tera aren't blowing out the gym. It's not going crazy. And I have a replay here to kind of show how the Tera can be used in battle, like how effective it really is. So this right here is a ladder battle between this is the highest rated OU battle. That's what I mean to say. And let's just watch a couple turns of it. Spikes and flamethrowers. You know what I'm saying? This is a 1900 battle. This is one of my favorite parts right here. He gets the critical hit with Fire Blast. And look at this little line. He just well played. Oh, this is so salty. It's so salty. So salty. Oh my goodness. He just drops a casual well play. So 62 turns in, that was the first kill. The only person who's terrored is this guy right here, and he terrored his Garganachi into Fairy type. It hasn't made much of a difference, honestly. Like, it allowed him to take a couple extra hits, but that's all it really did. Nothing too crazy. So if we just I'm gonna change it to hyper fast and continue the battle so we can just speed through the rest of it. Because after in a stall game like this, and this isn't two stall teams, but this is bulky. This is like bulky. This is defensive. I don't know what you would call this. It's damn near stall. This is damn near stall. But what you lose when you're Pokemon, it's kind of over. So switching. This guy has spikes up too. I mean, there's really nothing he can do. He's just kind of getting tossed around a little bit. But it's, I really want to show you the end of it just because it's kind of entertaining. Hold on one second. All right, Shadow Ball, Palma. He's gonna let all his Pokemon die because he does not care about them. He's a terrible trainer. Doesn't care about any of his Pokemon. Ah, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, unwinnable matchup. GG, well played. And then he forfeits. And you see, he forfeited without leaving the battle. That means he still has something to get off his chest. And so the guy responds, "Not really, just play better." Question mark. Dirty, and we got instigators in the chat. You have like 3 balls that my team sucks versus. I have 1 that every team sucks versus. Ooh, it sounds like a bad team. Fair point. It sounds like you got a bad team. And then he left after that. And then he tried to get more of his shit off, but the dude already left. He already left. He got his shit off and left. Doesn't really matter anymore. So as you can see from this battle, Tera is it's not the end all be all. It doesn't really change the situation completely. All it does is for the most part, all it does is help you out in certain situations. If you are getting railroaded, Tera will not stop you from getting railroaded. If you are trying to get a sweep off, Tera can possibly help you get a sweep off. It does not mean that it will. It's not guaranteed. Unlike in Dynamax, where something getting a sweep off was much easier, preventing yourself from getting railroaded was much easier. So for the Terastallization ban, you had to go ahead and get Rex. I went ahead and got that, made my vote. And the voting options weren't too difficult. There was options though, which is a little bit unusual. For the most part, it's normally just ban or not ban. For this one though, it was action or no action. And if you wanted action, there was 4 options for what the action was: outright ban, which is a terrible option in my opinion. 1 Tera per team. Reveal Tera type at team preview. Only stab Tera types allowed. If I remember correctly, I did reveal Tera, only stab, 1 Tera per team, and then outright ban. That's the order I did, but my choice was no action. I preferred to keep Tera the way it is just because I feel like it's not broken in its current setting. A few minutes ago, they finally released a verdict on Tera, and it said that it's going to be fully legal in Scarlet and Violet overuse, in one of the biggest and closest votes in Smogon's history. So, the total vote, 346 people out of 351 voted. It was 5 people that tried to hold the vote hostage. That's how I feel. I feel like they tried to hold the vote hostage. 205 people said action. 141 said no action. So that's 59.25% wanting action. You need 60%. Meaning Tera will stay completely legal in the tier. How do I feel about that? I feel like the right choice was made. Like I said, earlier, Terra, for the most part, in the majority of situations, is not game altering. It is a situation changer, yes. Meaning you are in it, you are, let's say, a Chi-Yu versus a Garganachi, right? And I clicked Dark Pulse with my Chi-Yu, and I did 30 something. The Garganachi switches in. I did 30 something. So I'm like, oh, the Garganachi is Scarf. I mean, the Chi-Yu is Scarf. Or I'm like, the Garganachi is Spadef. I need to switch my Chi-Yu out for this rock type Pokemon. Okay, so I switch into a fighting type. Let's say I switch into Great Tusk. Let's say I switch into Great Tusk. Him not knowing that I was gonna switch, but having a Tera Fairy, he could Tera Fairy, trying to take less damage. Now the situation has changed a little bit because I'm not looking at a rock type that I'm attacking. I'm looking at a fairy type. Did the game change? Not really. Not really. The game didn't really get altered. It's just the one situation, the picture that we took right there has changed slightly. Whereas in something like Dynamax, if you took that same situation and instead of Tera Fairing right there, it clicked Max Rock or whatever, or a Max move, huge HP gain. The Rock move does what it does more damage. It's a completely different game. It's not just that the situation has changed. It's a completely different game now. So all in all, like I said, I feel like we made the right decision has been made. Tera, for the most part, is a defensive mechanic. It does have good offensive uses. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but for the most part, when you do feel the Tera, like when it actually affects something, it's more than likely in a defensive way. So that being said, now that we have the Tera ban over and done with, what is next? I alluded to this earlier, but these things, the Ruinous Pokemon, the Pokemon of Ruin, the Treasures of Ruin, they're ridiculous, aren't they? Aren't they a little ridiculous? At the very least, the abilities for these two are Chien-Pao and Chi-Yu. The fact that they can lower the defense of the Pokemon they're attacking, I believe it's by 25%? 25 or 33%. That's crazy. Not only are their stats already out of the gym, jumping out the gym, but then on top of that, they get to lower your stats some. I feel like Chi-Yu needs to be suspected. I think it's too strong. I think it's pretty centralizing. I think you have to have, you literally cannot run your team without something to think about Chi-Yu. Like, because if it comes in, and did you see that set I had earlier? The overheat one? If you don't have something to take, if you're not running a water type, a bulky water type, or a bulky rock type, you're gonna get ran over by this thing. Like, what's it called? Quaxaquable or some shit like that. It takes like 70% from that overheat. This thing, Ting Lu, this thing that bolsters its own Spadef. This thing bolsters its own Spadef. Or which one does it? No, it weakens the special attack of your opponent, which is basically the same thing as bolstering your own special defense. Takes 54? No. 64? It'd be doing a lot of damage. Over half with the choice specs overheat. This thing boosts its Spadef effectively, and it's still taking over half. It has one of the broken abilities, still taking over half. It's this Pokemon's literally ridiculous. Chien-Pao, I don't think is as broken. I think that Pokemon can probably stay. But definitely Chi-Yu. Definitely Chi-Yu needs to at least be I think looked at the very least. I think we should, and they should try the metagame without it. They need to try ladder without it, just to see what it would be like. But yeah, that's gonna do it. I hope you guys enjoy. Hopefully we'll see how long it takes for the next expert test to come out. I'll have another video out some other time. I'm on the ladder again, so you might see me on the ladder. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. I will see you all next time.